Hello again, everyone. Welcome back, Sports Underground. We are back on the air. A little bit of a hiatus there going on, Mike. I had a little baby, the birth of my daughter. That's what kind of put us off pace there a little bit. But we're back. We got lots of things to talk about since last time. We've had Wolves draft, Wild draft. Looks like the NFL lockout is almost over.
How about a Twins resurgence?
A little bit of resurgence, setback yesterday, but they're on the mend. Yeah, that's true. Wolves head coaching search going on right now. Wild actually get a head coach since last time we talked, and make some pretty big trades. So lots of ground to cover. I think we're going to start with the Wolves and the fact that for once in their history, they got one of the top two picks. And it looks like they may have got the best guy in this draft in Derek Williams.
That's what they're saying, but I can't think of a time in the last maybe 10 years that I've been more excited about Wolves basketball coming into the season. We do get a guy named Derek Williams who apparently is a rebounding machine. He can score, he can do a little bit of everything. Gives us some reason to build for the future, some little bit of hope. They actually draft a guy and hold on to him. And all this excitement comes into the season, but we're all locked up.
Right, we are locked up, possibly going to miss the season. Another reason for excitement, Ricky Rubio is finally on board. And if he's half as good as David Kahn thinks he is, we probably have a heck of a point guard. I mean, all you hear about is this guy's the second coming of Steve Nash, Magic Johnson, take your pick. The jury's still out on it. I like the fact that at least there's a reason to go watch the games, check it out, like you say. Pretty excited for Wolves basketball, and that doesn't happen every day.
No, it doesn't.
In my household, that's for sure.
No, it doesn't. But I'll tell you what, the numbers maybe don't follow him from Europe over here. Maybe doesn't have the best track record as far as numbers go with the points and the steals and all that stuff, but apparently he's really good.
Well, and Brandon Jennings also came from Europe when the Bucks drafted him in the top 10 a couple years ago, and he was not known as a scorer, comes in with a splash, averages almost 20 a game his rookie year, and pretty much was a catalyst to that team making the playoffs. So hoping that maybe Rubio can translate a little bit like that, maybe his points, his shooting average, not that high over there, but maybe the fast pace, the fast break game will fit to his liking over here in the NBA.
Well, we could get some new players in here and some new blood and stuff like that, and that leads us to the coaching search that maybe we can change some of the philosophy that we've had here the last couple of years, in which we go out and we expect to lose, and maybe some of that, maybe philosophy alone changes that, translates into 30 wins.
Well, if you're going out expecting to lose, it probably means you don't play much defense, and we've seen that from ever since Kevin Garnett left, who arguably one of the top defensive players in the league when he left, and possibly still there now. But they just don't play defense. Kevin Love's a great rebounder, but he doesn't do a lot defensively. Darko on the inside looks lost at times. Michael Beasley never met a shot he didn't like and never liked the guy he wanted to guard, is kind of what it looked like. And speaking of Beasley, while we jump into him, a little bit of trouble with the possible marijuana, I want to say alleged marijuana possession when his traffic stop in Minneapolis a few weeks ago.
Yep, he's a suspect in a marijuana case in the old Minneapolis area, but we'll see how that washes up. It's still out, the jury's still out with the NFL too, and how they're going to punish people when they're locked out.
Right, and David Kahn tells everyone that Beasley promised he wasn't on the marijuana, he was off marijuana. Of course, he says it wasn't his. Maybe it wasn't. Who are we to judge? But he does have a track record of, once you're involved in this stuff, kind of hard to look the other way.
It is.
And, just say, well, maybe the guy got set up, maybe someone did forget it.
And possibly, but when you're 22 years old and got $10 million in the bank, who's going to tell you no to do anything?
Yeah, not a lot of people in your life are going to guide you in doing the right thing. They kind of, you're right, let you do what you want. That's what my posse does as well. They kind of let me go around as I like to, too. So, coaching search for the Timberwolves. A few names, very intriguing with Don Nelson, although he's 71 years old. The winningest coach in the history of the NBA, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so. If you do it long enough, eventually you're going to be the winningest coach in the NBA. So yeah, he is. Interesting that he wants to come here. He's voiced that. That's interesting. I think he shares the same feelings that we do, that it's at least an interesting roster, and that has some talent and has some momentum going forward. It can't get any worse. Right,
and if you're the Wolves' perspective, you look at Don Nelson and you think, all right, there's a guy who's been there, done that, been in the playoffs, been a championship caliber coach. But why has Don Nelson been out of basketball for a few years? That's my one reservation, is that, are we the only team that would give him a chance? I mean, he wasn't exactly lighting the league on fire at the end of his career.
But who are you going to get that's better?
That's probably a good point.
You know,
Terry Porter
was
his name's been mentioned,
I
but
saw his name mentioned today.
two
actually.
different coaching stints, not exactly the most successful guy.
Probably not, but we're not the most successful franchise either. So who do we actually need, and who can we actually get? I think those are two questions that the front office is asking, and putting out feelers to see who they can get.
Right.
I think David Kahn is the best GM for this team.
I don't know if he's the best GM, but he's sure the most intriguing and exciting because all the guy wants to do is trade.
Yeah.
And when your team has nothing going for it, by making some trades, drafting some flashy guys like Rubio, at least he got people talking about the Wolves again. Before he came in here, I don't know if I could have named you 5 players on the Wolves team after Kevin Garnett left. I mean, it was bad. It was a terrible product. 4,000, 5,000 people showing up for games. All of a sudden now, though, Kevin Love, an all-star last year, Ricky Rubio, who the fan base is pretty excited about, Derek Williams, who in the NCAA tournament single-handedly took down Duke, looks like he can get his own shot. You still got Michael Beasley, who's a proven scorer in the NBA, something the Wolves don't have. Wesley Johnson, second-year player. If he can find a shot, maybe a little bit of defense, he's pretty long, has the ability to shut some people down, I believe. All of a sudden, if Beasley, Love, and Williams weren't kind of the same position, you'd get a little more excited about them. But somehow, find a way for all those guys to be on the floor at the same time, and you're going to have a little more exciting brand of basketball.
Well, what I was going to bring up too is that you have some commodities that you can possibly move there too. Mm-hmm. You have some people that play the same position you can maybe move out. And I don't know if you're going to find that center that you're looking for that's really going to be available to you through trades, but we're supposed to have a ton of money under the salary cap.
We are.
We're supposed to. You're going to have to throw a lot of money at somebody to come play up here in the wintertime when you got a lot of different markets with a lot more going for it.
It's not an NBA market. I mean, you think LA, you think Boston, you think now Dallas, Chicago, Miami. You don't necessarily say, I'm an NBA player, I get some money, where do I like to go? Let me see. You know what, the Timberwolves are looking for a pretty good point guard. Yeah. Maybe I'll show up there.
Downtown Minneapolis in mid-January isn't exactly
right.
Where you don't want to be spending your winters all the time. But
they do have a lot of parts, like you said. They have Martell Webster, who's still on the bench. He's got some mileage left on the tires. Maybe if you move a guy like him, maybe move a guy like Beasley, maybe you go get, this is kind of a stretch because he's young, you're looking for some veteran talent, I get it. But Cole Aldrich, a guy who's from Minneapolis, played at Kansas, sat on the pine the entire year for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, is he going to light the league on fire? Probably not, but defensively in college, he was pretty good in the middle, and all of a sudden you put a big body, a wide body, who has a little meat on his bones, maybe he can help shore up that inside defense a little bit.
And maybe we don't need somebody who's going to be an all-star. Maybe we need somebody just functional to play along with those guys, which Darko might be.
He might be.
But it seems like his feet are too big for his body or something. He just doesn't seem to fit right, does he?
No, he doesn't.
Who's that guy we got from the Knicks? Remember last year?
Anthony Randolph, actually. And he's an intriguing prospect as well, but thin, kind of undersized to be a center, also a power forward. Well, he's not going to beat out Kevin Love, who's an all-star. But I know there's a guy there that probably could step in and hopefully do something. But
he's straight off the bench. All of a sudden, you look at the box score, he scored 19 or 31 points or something. All of a sudden, you're like, who's this guy?
Well, we go to the game. We watch Darko, and the first quarter, Darko looks like he actually might be kind of a player. He led us in points, had a few rebounds, looked pretty good, and all of a sudden, one guy hits a shot on him, and Darko kind of disappears. And every time the ball touches his hands, goes out of bounds, can't get a rebound, can't make a shot all of a sudden. And if you don't need the first quarter, 10.8 rebound Darko. You need somewhere between that and the guy who can't hang on the ball. Just for a whole game. At the end of the game, get you 10 points, get you 7 rebounds. Don't turn the ball over. Couple of blocks.
Don't make mistakes.
Yeah, if you can get a guy like that who they say he's a great passer. Now I've heard it quoted as Vlade Divac like. I don't know if that's necessarily true. Vlade was smoking cigarettes and making passes before Darko knew what basketball was all about. So. But, there is a future there, and the fact that we're even sitting here talking about the Wolves is probably a good sign, because I'll put some money down, now it'll be at $15, $20, but I will actually pay for a ticket to go and watch the Wolves this year, where, past years I didn't really have any thought of it.